Hello, Glenn, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I think that it won't be an exaggeration to say that Booking.com is one of the favorite and popular international websites in Israel. And let's start with a little bit, a couple of questions for Israeli audience to get to know you better as the person who runs this operation. What is your perfect vacation?
Well, really, my perfect vacation right now would be anywhere where I don't get all the emails and all the texts and all the calls. It's a global operation that we run, and I'll tell you, every hour something can be happening. So for me, a vacation is not where I am, it's just if I can just have a little bit of a rest.
So it's some place without a smartphone, which can...
Yeah, that'd be nice. But where is that in the world now? Every place in the world you can be reached by, either a text or an email or something. I have to go, I guess, to the North Pole, maybe. That's the only place, I guess, where there's no service.
Okay, that's a thought. So have you ever been to Israel?
I've been to Israel an awful lot. It's a place that I've enjoyed both for business and pleasure. I took my family a few years ago. We had a wonderful couple of weeks there. We went with our synagogue. We went as a group, a multi-generational. So it was our grandparents, the parents, and our kids all together. It was wonderful.
So as a tourist, and also as a CEO of Booking.com, what, in your opinion, should Israel do to attract more tourism and more tourists?
So the thing that's amazing to me is it is such an incredible opportunity for tourism because Israel has so many great things. I mean, you have, first of all, of course, for people who just want to relax on a beach. I mean, sitting on the beaches in Tel Aviv is fantastic. But what about the culture? The history, the archaeology, and if you like the desert, I've been down in the desert. It's wonderful. Or up in the north. It's so many things one can do. And here's the issue, though, is that people should see it as a place that is great to visit for travel, for relaxation, all these things. But what happens sometimes is because I'm not going to feel relaxed. Because of sometimes the political situation, can people say, I'm not sure I want to go. I have friends in the U.S. who say, I'm not sure I want to go. I have friends in Europe say, I'm not sure. So part of the issue that hurts tourism in Israel is the political uncertainty sometimes.
Okay, we'll hope it gets solved over time. So now, on a more serious note, this past year wasn't an easy year. For all of us, and specifically for the tourism industry, how did you deal with the catastrophe of COVID-19?
Well, it really was horrible. And we did have to let go a not insignificant number of people, almost approximately a quarter of our people. We had to say, we're sorry, but we just don't have the business, and we had to let those people go. Very difficult. Also, moving people from everybody working in an office to everybody working at home. When we started 2020 with 27,000 people, imagine having to get those people to go from offices to home and still do the business. So it was very, very hard on everybody. Fortunately now, though, as we've seen in Israel, in the US, in some places like the UK, we've seen that vaccines can make a huge difference. And as the vaccination rates go up, the rate of travel goes up. So, for example, in the United States, where the vaccination rate is relatively high, travel is booming. I mean, it is absolutely booming right now. And I think that will be the same thing as places around the world become safer because there are more vaccinations. I believe that travel will come back.
So you believe we'll get a full recovery, and in what time frame we will see all the industry back to as it was before COVID?
Well, it's definitely going to happen. The question when is everybody's guess, because nobody knows how fast will these vaccinations roll out around the world. And we also have to be concerned about all these new variants to the virus. And we know the Delta variant right now is causing some issues in some places. We know in Israel, for example, we know that the travel has been pushed back because of a small number, but still an increase in the infections due to this Delta variant. So nobody knows when it's going to happen. I've been saying since over a year ago that it will take years for the full recovery of travel to happen, but it is going to happen, and we're seeing it beginning to happen.
So almost every industry had some serious changes going around because of COVID-19, and some of them maybe not so bad, and some of them are here to stay. What changes do you think will stay when in the tourism industry, even when COVID-19 will be a history, hopefully?
Well, it's definitely going to be history. It's just a question of when. All pandemics do end at some point. Hopefully this one ends sooner. But one of the things that we absolutely have seen happen is because people were afraid to be with other people, they wanted to stay in instead of staying in hotels, they wanted to stay in homes more. Now, we've seen this trend for a long time of people saying, instead of a hotel, I'll stay in a private home or maybe an apartment or something that's not a hotel. That trend had been going on for some time. But because of the pandemic, the number of people who are interested in that type of accommodation jumped substantially. And I think that's going to continue for a very long time because now people have tried out or looked at using a home instead of a hotel. And I think that's going to go on. Another thing that'll happen is people are much more interested in flexibility. They're concerned if they book travel and if something happens, for example, a country shuts down travel, or they just see higher infection somewhere and people don't want to travel, they want to be able to cancel or change their plans. And they don't want to have to pay a lot of money or lose all their money because they canceled. So that's another change I think is going to stay for a long time.
And how about the business travel? One of the things we saw, and many companies are pretty happy about that people don't travel for business so much anymore, and many companies can save the money. Do you see the levels going back up as it was before the pandemic?
Well, I definitely agree with you that there are a lot of CFOs who are probably very happy saying, hey, look at all the money we saved on business travel. People don't travel. The employees don't travel. We save a lot of money. There's still going to be business travel. That's not going away. But the question is, will it become as prevalent as it was before the pandemic now that we're able to do all these types of technological ways to speak and look at each other? Look, right now we're doing this wonderful conversation. We're 11 hours apart, and yet it's just like we're talking to each other face to face. That's going to continue, of course, and that's going to decrease the amount of travel for business, particularly international travel. Where I used to go, I go for a day between U.S. and Europe. I go for 2 days to Asia. Now I say, do I really have to do that? That's going to impact business travel. And the big issue about that is a lot of the profits in the travel industry are made by the very, very expensive airfares up in the front of the plane, those first class tickets or those business class tickets, or the hotels that have 5-star hotels or 4-star hotels that the business people were paying for. If those things aren't happening, that changes the economics of some of the bigger players, the big international air carriers and some of the big international hotel chains. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
When you speak about profits, I hear also taxes. As an internationally huge company, what do you think about the new initiative as presented by G7 of taxation, universal taxation of 15% at least? How it will affect you?
Well, I don't think it's going to affect us that much because we've always been paying more than 15%. So I'm not too concerned about that. But of course, you never know. It's the details that really matter. And look, we've always wanted to pay our fair share of taxes as we believe to be a responsible company. And there's some companies that don't do that. Some companies are very good at shifting their profits or their revenue around, finding very low tax jurisdictions to try to funnel the profits or the revenues that way. So I understand why some of the members of the G7 or in practically any country want to make sure they're getting the appropriate amount of taxes from a corporation. But the important thing is that it's done equitably. It's important that not one particular sector of different industries being picked on. So for us as a travel company, of course, our stuff is very international. So what we want to make sure is that there isn't double taxation or triple taxation, where for example, if you have a traveler who starts in one country and goes to another country and the transaction went through the technological servers in another country, we don't want to get taxed 3 times. So what's very important is the details to make sure it's done in a fair way.
So speaking about your international business, let's touch a little bit your Israeli activity. What is exactly being developed here in your center in Israel, and how many employees do you have? What are the plans?
Yeah, so we've had a center in Tel Aviv for a number of years now. And the reason, of course, is obvious, because we're always looking for great technological capabilities. And the technological capabilities of our center in Tel Aviv is just fantastic. Very concentrated on machine learning issues. And we've been able to get a lot of benefit out of that, really making our operation much better than it would have been otherwise. Now, right now, we don't have as many people. We had to let go a few people as we went throughout the world because of the pandemic, but I definitely believe we're going to continue to bring it back and grow it up. I don't know the exact number, but it's over 100 people there right now. One of the things that's very important always, and this again, because technology, is you don't have to have employees in a specific place anymore. You know, it used to be that we had to have all the employees in one particular place. But now you can have distributed workers, so we can have a great center in Tel Aviv, even though the headquarters of Booking.com is in Amsterdam, and still get great work done. That's something that's going to obviously continue because of all this technological advancements.
Are you interested in any M&A activity here? Are you looking for acquisitions? Are you checking some startups?
Well, we're always looking at companies that see, would it fit in our portfolio? Will it be helpful to what we're trying to achieve? It always depends on valuation. It depends on the management team. It depends on what is this company going to bring to what we do. So we're always looking. And we did buy the company Evitcher, which was the foundation in Israel for our Tel Aviv center. And we also bought another company called Clika. That's the base of our operations in Goda. Has some of the top people in Goda come from Clika. So we've had some good successes buying companies in Israel, and we'll continue to look there.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much. I hope for everybody that the world travel will get back to normal, pre-COVID normal, as soon as possible, and we'll see you in Israel.
Well, thank you very much, and I am looking forward to coming back.
Thank you very much, Glenn, and good luck.
Thank you.